Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
So for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world. Time!
Three on the way. Oh! It went in! It went in! And Indiana wins the ball game!
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni!
Float game for the win! Ayla's gone. Goodbye. Touchdown, Indy. Woo! IU. America. They got a football team now.
It's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop.
Now, here's Jim Coyle.
Yes, it is. Hello, everybody. Welcome aboard. Happy to be here. Happy to have you along because it's Wednesday. We've made it to the halfway point. It's all downhill from here. And I'm not talking about Indiana basketball. Hey, it's a little sun shining out there, although I think it's going to get cloudy today, up into the 50s here. We'll take it. It's February. I'll take anything that's above freezing. So got that going through it for us. Plenty to talk about, of course, including last night's potentially NCAA blocking, not going to loss by Indiana to Northwestern at home. I believe that is the fifth or the sixth straight loss to Northwestern. Indiana has now lost 6 straight to Northwestern, 5 straight to Nebraska. Nebraska's good this year, but that doesn't count. Those other 4 years, horse hockey. So it is what it is. And boy, making the NCAA tournament I kept saying, it's a big deal. They haven't done it. Thought it was a lock. Should have been a lock. But guess what? Now, they're not out. They can play their way in. But why would we have expectations that a team can do something that it's barely been able to keep its head above water all season long? Man, I just don't get that. It is, it's just not acceptable. It shouldn't be acceptable to anyone. So, but there you go. You got it. Brian says, I kept saying they were in. Well, they were in, Brian. You don't get it. They were in. They were in at the time when I was saying it. If you don't believe me, go look at everybody else who had the brackets. They were in. They were in. If you lose to Northwestern at home, you don't deserve anything. In my opinion, I'm sorry. You don't. You just can't do that. But like I said, they can play their way in. But why would you expect the team to play above a level that they have not approached this season? They'll have to, if they beat Michigan State, that's going to, I'm not going to say erase that loss because that's a bad loss. Northwestern was 3-13. Now they're 4-13. But yeah, that's a bad loss. And there's just no other way. There's no way to sugarcoat it. But yeah, everybody's talking about the balconies were empty. Well, it was, I'm not going to make excuses. If you're winning, That's not the case. But nobody cared to go see a game against Northwestern. I'm not kidding. I'm not making excuses either way. It's not my deal. I just report on it, tell you what I think. But IU basketball's in the same spot that it has been. No change, no difference. And for those of you jumping around, Joe properly points out Chris Beard's on a 9-game losing skid. So, no, you don't bring back the fan support like this, but there's always football. Hey, guess what? Spring football is not that far away, people. The spring game. April, my goodness. Oh my, that's so funny. But we're literally going to be talking about football. I mean, part of that's already scheduled. But basketball is prompting us to talk more about football. And football doesn't mind. Kurt Signetti doesn't care that you're talking about his program. He loves that I'm out here talking about his program or anybody else. Hell yes. It's February, and we're talking Indiana football more so than Indiana basketball. Yeah, that's a problem. It's a great problem in one way, of course, as you can figure out, but not a great problem in the other way. And the thing is, there's nothing that shows you that there's forward progress, because this team's going to lose its most valued pieces in the offseason. So, we'll see. We'll see. I'm not going to sit here and bang on that all day long. We'll see what happens. Hey, I think I briefly talked about this yesterday, but the Teddy Bridgewater Act, yeah, that passed 38-0 after he got suspended for helping provide for transportation and food. Joey Aguiar denied his request, now heads to Indianapolis for the NFL Combine and Draft, as does Diego Pavia, if they can find him. Combine has started, and let's see. Tomorrow is the defensive line and linebacker drills. Of course, you'll see a couple of Indiana guys there. Quite a few, as a matter of fact, including Aiden Fisher. Friday, the defensive backs and the tight ends. Saturday, the quarterbacks will throw, the running backs and the wide receiver drills. Now, that's where Fernando Mendoza is not going to throw, and he doesn't need to throw. He's made all the throws he needs to make, number one. Number two, or I should have said number one, he knows where he's going, number one. Doesn't need to do anything. He's going to throw for Indiana receivers on April 1st at their pro day, which we'll be at. And we'll have one last chance to talk to Fernando. So, quite a few Indiana guys, though, going through the drills, and we'll have all that for you. Sunday, the offensive line goes at it. So it runs through March 1st. March 1st. February flew. It has literally flown by. Gee whiz, that's right. 28-day month. We're already We're 3-4 days away from it. Holy cow. March is going to be here, people. Next week is March. That's crazy. That is crazy. Yeah, I see some stats, Andrew, or someone said at least Indiana shot 80% against the Oregon Ducks for a half. It wasn't Indiana's shooting for a while. I mean, they were shooting the ball. Let's see, in the second half, though, they couldn't hit a three. 2 of 12. 16%. 2 of 12. Lamar Wilkerson had 18 points. He was 4 of 11. You'll take that all day long. Nick Dorn kind of got back off of the schneid. 8 points, but a lot of those were early. 5 of those were very early. Didn't do anything the rest of the game. Tucker DeVries, kind of where he's been the last 5 games or so. I'd say he's averaged 11, 12 points. Tayton Conaway again with a good performance off the bench. 6 of 6 from the field. 3 assists. 5 assists from Connor Enright, but nothing else. So, hey, we'll talk more about it. What our good friend Dylan Sinn from the Fort Wayne Journal-Gazette joins us. And guess what? That happens right now, as soon as we get through these messages.
Indiana football accomplished what no other team ever has. Big Ten, Rose Bowl, Peach Bowl, and CFP national champions. The Hoosiers have etched their name into the history books as the first 16-0 team in the modern era. A limited edition of only 5,000 commemorative national championship footballs has been released. 3 full panels embossed and stamped with every championship logo and fully licensed. Get your piece of history today at NICOsports.com. That's NICOsports.com. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on The Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage, and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Bored, Bloomington? Dave & Buster's can fix that. Eat and drink your way through our all-new menu. Play half-price games every Sunday through Thursday. Watch all your team's wins on a 40-foot screen and 30 HD TVs. And level all up with the high-flying human crane that puts you in the game. Private game suites, our exclusive arena, and more. Only at Dave & Buster's on 731 South College Mall Road.
Welcome back. It is Wednesday all day long. Jim Coyle with you and Dylan Sinn joining me now. Well, Dylan, It came and it went, and I think those may have been Indiana's NCAA chances. That not that they can't make up for that, they can, but you have to make up for that, and that will include a definitive win over Michigan State, and I think it would require 2 wins in the Big Ten tournament maybe now. I've got you muted. There we go.
There you go. No, I think that that's probably right. I think that you have to win because you have to beat Michigan State, you have to beat Ohio State on the road, and then you got to win those 2 games in the Big Ten tournament. I don't really think there's any way around that at this point. I was kind of thinking about it as I was driving home last night. I've been covering this team for 9 years, 9 seasons, and I don't know if I've covered a game where where they were playing a team that they were better than in the standings by that much, with that much on the line at home, and had that bad of a result. I think it might be the worst game I've covered from that perspective. Obviously, there's been games where they played worse, but I think it might be the worst game I've covered from that perspective. Whereas you're playing a team that's near the bottom of the standings. Northwestern was second to last in the conference coming into the game last night. They needed a win as badly as they needed to win all season. It was basically a can't lose game, and they just let it get away. I think it might be the worst game I've covered from that perspective. It was that bad, and the thing was, and one thing I thought was interesting after the game was that Darren DeVries said that they played well in the first half and then let it get away in the second half. I don't really think that that's true. I think they played terribly the entire game. The only difference was that the first half they made some shots that aren't really sustainable. Like the shots that Lamar Wilkerson made early on, the shots that Nick Dorn made, those were like they were okay shots, but those are not shots that you're going to make over the course of a game. They weren't really running good offense most of the game. Just kind of standing around waiting for someone to win off the dribble and get in the lane and then drive and kick. There was not really a time the entire game where I thought, wow, that was a good action they used to get a good look. They were just kind of waiting for Tatum Conaway or sometimes Connor Enright to win off the dribble and get in the lane and drive and kick. That was all the offense they had the entire game. And then when the shots in the second half dried up, they just didn't have anything. And then they also couldn't get a rebound. And so, and that to me was the most disappointing part with the rebounding, because Northwestern is a bad rebounding team. Like, I looked it up. Northwestern came into the game last night 321st in the country in rebounding rate. They were grabbing 45.6% of available rebounds going into the game last night, and they grabbed 59% of the available rebounds in that game and had a 12-1 advantage in second chance points. So IU got just run off the glass by a bottom 45 rebounding team in the entire country. That, like, we knew going into the season rebounding was going to be a huge issue for this team, but you would have liked to have thought that in a game against a team like this, they would have been able to at least paper over it enough to win the game, and they just weren't. Reed Bailey and Sam Alexis, your center combination, have a total of 2 rebounds in the second half. That it's just not good enough. Like we talked before the season about how they don't have enough height. But the problem is the height they do have is also not good at rebounding. So they don't have a single guy on this team that is even an average rebounder, let alone a good one, which is frustrating.
Well, I agree, but I also agree that this team sucks at rebounding. They suck at being in position to rebound. They suck at their effort at rebounding. They suck at even considering the fact that there might be a rebound after a shot leaves somebody's hand. It's almost like it is foreign to them. It's like, hey guys, if the shot doesn't go in, you can actually grab it. It's like they don't know the freaking rule. But again, I have talked about 2 stats all year long, but one continues to just jump off of the page. You mentioned it a second ago, but second chance points. This is a definitive stat category. Definitive. Because what it means is you gave up an offensive rebound to a team and they scored. You gave them a second opportunity and they scored. You had that same chance to do that, but game after game after game, it has been like this one. 12-1. That was the number in a game that Indiana lost by 4 points. 12-1. Bam. Ball game. I mean, game after game after game, I can look at that stat line and it's like this every time. And I know that you can pick out things here and there. I'm not doing that. I've looked at this all freaking year and it's been a problem. We've known rebounding's been a problem, but it's not just rebounding. It's what it leads to. I mean, I've seen recently in a game, Dylan, I think it was the last game, not last night, but where a team ended up getting 4 possessions on a single trip down the court. 4. They didn't score unbelievably, but they had 4 shots at it. And you cannot give teams multiple opportunities to score. It's a recipe for Indiana being whatever their record is now. 17-11 or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah, no, and that is the problem. Is that it's like those points, those second chance points, are just psychologically devastating because what it means is that you did everything right. You played good defense. You got to stop. You did your job, and then you couldn't close it. Right? You couldn't finish. You couldn't do the last part of it, and now suddenly you're on defense again. And you thought the defensive possession was over. You thought you could go play offense. You thought you could take a break from having to chase your defender, your mark all over the court, and now you got to go play defense again. And those moments are just psychologically devastating for a team, for individuals, all of it. And you're right, it's been a problem all season. And I think that's what's most disappointing to me is that when Darren DeVries was hired in March, what Scott Dolson said and what made a lot of sense to me, having watched West Virginia last year, was that the pitch for Darren DeVries in significant part was, doggone, that guy's teams play hard. They play really, really. That West Virginia team last year, they were all over the court. They weren't that good. Without Tucker DeVries on the court, they weren't that talented. But they basically willed themselves onto the bubble just by playing really doggone hard. And that was the pitch on Darren DeVries, was that he just gets his teams, no matter who they are, even in year one at West Virginia, he gets his teams to play really hard. And we haven't seen that this year. Sometimes intermittently, but not on any kind of consistent basis. This IU team does not play that hard relative to its peers. There's some talent there. There's some guys that play hard on a semi-consistent basis. Sam Alexis, I think, plays really hard. But man, it's just not consistent across the board. They're not out there battling in the way they need to in order to overcome the fact that they don't have a ton of height. And we knew they weren't going to have a ton of height going all the way back to April. And so you'd think that going into the offseason, one of their big focuses would have been, hey, we're not very tall. We better be boxing out every single time and going after it really relentlessly, because otherwise we're going to get killed on the glass. And guess what? They've gotten killed on the glass all year.
Yeah, I was just trying to quickly pull up what West Virginia is doing this year. West Virginia has a 4-7 quad 1 record.
Yeah,
that's pretty good. That will boost you. They're 2-3 in quad 2 games. That's not great. And they got a quad 3 loss.
They're not particularly close to the bubble. I don't think they're going to make the tournament, but it's a totally different team than the one DeVries had last year.
I know, but my point was someone can go there and they're in a slightly better position in Indiana, aren't they?
That's true. After last night, they absolutely are.
And
They're
that's
close.
my point. And that's my point is somebody can come in to a non-basketball school, just West Virginia. I love them, but it's West Virginia. So a guy could come in there, do that. You go to Indiana with 3 times the resources, 3 times the name recognition, 3 times everything, and can't do, and you do less. I've not said a negative word all season long, and I'm not going, and I'm going to let the season play out. I've said that. Hey, Darren gets this season, but this is not a good look at all. And not making the tournament is a definite negative slash against Darren, and is going to put a crap ton of pressure for me on him going forward next year. Next year, the pressure starts. Not you don't making the tournament is not even, that's not the bar. Now, like for me as an analyst or whatever you want to, looking from the outside next year, my expectations for that team is not to just make the tournament. They better do some damn damage. I don't care. They don't get a break because they didn't make it this year for me. And, you get the normal steps to progressively step forward. Nope. You still have to make up for this next year. You have to act like it happened and get to where a higher point on the mountain to me. I that's the one thing that no breaks. Hey man, in this day and age, there are no excuses.
Yeah, and the problem is, and I agree with you to a certain extent. The problem is that they put together this particular team in an effort to win right away, right? The idea was, okay, you make the tournament year one, and that gives you a little bit of grace going forward because you say, all right, we were able to win right away. He was able to improve the team immediately, but they haven't built anything this year. Next year is going to be an entirely different team. It's going to be a total rebuild this offseason again. There's no carryover. There's no carryover to next year's team.
That is a definite scare. They've got a good recruiting class coming in, but freshmen, unless they are not just a 5-star, unless they are a top 10 5-star,
right?
Those are the guys that will come in and play as if they're juniors.
Right.
So unless they get something like that, which I don't expect any more additions to the recruiting class, so it's going to have to come through the portal. So now a team, and I look at another thing. Let's take a break. When we come back, the staff is amazing. They've got he's got a A+ staff. So I'm wondering, all right, was there more emphasis put on getting this staff put together this season than getting the team put together? And the team is going to be a more of a focus next year because now they just hired Ryan Carr as a GM. So they've got all these pieces in place that are tremendous. And I'm not disputing that. I mean, that's a great addition. Their assistant coaches, gee whiz, Kenny Johnson, Rod Clark, and Darren Adams. These guys are all great recruiters. So what a tremendous staff. I mean, that's the best staff IU has had in years. And so I wonder, all right, is this a year away? But it's not a year away in recruiting. So recruiting is not going to change. It's going to have to come through the portal. But hey, let's take a quick one. Dylan Sinn from the Fort Wayne Journal-Gazette is with me. Jim Coyle back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Of course, right after we take a pause for the cause.
The ISC Sports Network is your home for sports content across the Hoosier State. Find us live on TV and streaming or archived on our website and our app. The ISC is your one-stop shop for the content you want to see, including high school sports, college sports, and other great events throughout the year. Subscribe to our streaming service and get access to it all. ISC. Local lives here.
If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on The Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Dave & Buster's Bloomington is the place to eat, drink, play, and watch. Enjoy half-price games every Sunday through Thursday, a new menu to dig into, and next-level upgrades like private game suites, the high-flying human crane that puts you in the game, our exclusive arena, and more. Only at Dave & Buster's Bloomington, 731 South College Mall Road.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio. It's Wednesday. Jim Coyle with you as always. Glad to have you, and joined by Dylan Sinn from the Fort Wayne Journal-Gazette, and talking about Indiana's collapse in basketball. Another thing that sticks out to me is everybody loves seeing the freewheeling three-point shooting, and that's great. It is. But they're not disciplined at it. I don't think you can just be wide open. I mean, this is not UNLV in 1990. And I don't have a problem with guys having green lights. But you as a coach have to give them the understanding that that green light comes when the traffic is clear. When there's not a car, you still have to look right and left and make sure the cars are not coming through the intersection. I saw Lamar Wilkerson take multiple three-point attempts to where his body was just offline. He's sideways, and I'm like, hey, man, what are you doing? I mean, this is not, and of course he missed them all. Why? Having a green light is great, but you have to be smart. They don't play smart. They don't take smart shots. That's a reason why the rebounding sucks. They take shots with nobody around. Nobody's paying attention. It's the offense does not lend itself to doing two things at once. There is always with an action, there's a reaction. And if the action is shooting, the reaction should be going for a rebound. I mean, the minute that you see a dude go up into the air, your next move should be to try to get position or at least be there. That's not the case. And it's part of what's led to this team's demise.
No, I think that's absolutely right. I think on Wilkerson specifically, it was just a weird game from him. He played so well at the start, and to your point, the shots that he took at the beginning of the game were good shots. driving kicks where he's spotting up, he's open, he's got his feet set, good shots, right? Even the one that he made on like the second possession of the game where there was 1 second on the shot clock and he had to hoist it, he had his feet set on that one. 26-footer, great shot. Way to get your team off to a good start. That's a good shot, right? The second half, you're right. They weren't, a lot of them weren't good shots. But then the problem was, even when he did have good shots in that second half, his legs looked like they were gone. Like his jumper in that second half, even on the open shots, was so flat. It was as flat as I have seen it the entire year. Every single one that he took was short. I don't know what it was. He just looked like he did not have the legs in that second half to really be effective as a shooter. I think to a certain extent, he knew it because there were some times where he passed up shots that it was like, well, that's a shot that he has taken and made all season. And then suddenly he's passing it up. There was that one time where he and I think it was Nick Dorn were playing Take It From Me at the end of the shot clock where neither of them wanted the shot. Lamar passed it to Nick. Nick passed it back to Lamar, and you end up getting a heave at the end of the shot clock that doesn't hit anything. And neither of them wanted the shot. And it's the first time all season to me, really, that Lamar did not want the ball down the stretch because he's been a guy all season that when they've needed a basket, he's like, all right, give me the ball on my back, boys. And he was not that guy last night. And then he wasn't making the shots that came to him in the flow of the offense either. And it was just, I don't know what it was. I think he just didn't have the legs last night, and that's tough because they needed him really, really badly because they weren't getting into any kind of offensive flow. They weren't getting any shots off of the action, as they needed someone to do something off the dribble or off the catch, and he wasn't able to provide that for really the first time in a while. And it was just a tough night to have maybe his worst half of the season. I think that second half, 0 for 9 from the field, maybe his worst half of the season. It was a tough night for him.
Without question. And then another thing that has been a constant for this team, a constant, the inability. They have the ability to get good second half leads, but they just cannot hold them. Of course, you go back to Nebraska. They had down by 16 points in the second half, cough it up and lose. They had a double-digit lead in this game in the second half and lose it. I mean, this has been a theme for this team. They just can't hold it. Part of that's defense. And it's just a lot to it. Part of it's defense. Part of it's the inability to rebound and not taking smart shots. All this stuff that we're talking about. Well, when you have to get into a situation to where, boy, you have to do this. You have to do this. When other teams are actually scoring now, they're tightening things up and they're doing things better and they're making the game tighter. You have to do things better. And they don't. They actually get worse. This team gets worse at crunch time. They are not a crunch time team.
And it's not just the games that they've lost leads either. There's a lot of games, and we talked about this earlier in the season, where they're kind of in the game for 30 minutes or so, and then down the stretch it just gets away from them. It was that way against Illinois. It was that way against Michigan State on the road. There's just games where they seem like they're in it, and then they're not, right? And they play, that we were talking about this, they play 30 minutes, and those last 10 minutes they just don't have it. And maybe it's just because they don't have the depth. Maybe having Jason Drake and Josh Harris out there would help them stay a little bit fresher. But it seemed like Darren last night really, they subbed pretty liberally last night. They tried to help these guys keep their legs in the second half. And they
not only that, Dylan, I mean, if you look at the chart at, this post-game stats, if I just looked at Indiana, I'm thinking, oh, they got a pretty good chance of winning this game because Dayton Conaway comes off the bench, goes 6 of 6, 1 of 1 behind the 3-point line, 1 of 1 at the free throw line. He kicks in 14 points off the bench. That's something Indiana's not been getting. He's been playing really well off the bench the last few games. So I'm like, oh, wow, that's pretty good. And he also had three assists. Nice. Connor Enright doesn't score at all. Has 5 assists, though. But that's not enough. You cannot just have 5 assists. In 26 minutes, that you're accounting for, what did I say, 3 or however many assists I said he had 5. Okay, that could be as few as 10 points you've accounted for total because you've scored nothing. That's not enough. But other positives, Nick Dorn seemed like he was getting off the schneid. 5 early points, but he ends up with 8 for the game, which is still better than what he has been doing. But that, like I said, he had 5 points very early. And then not a lot after that. Tucker DeVries has been very consistent. He's been in double digits, I think, the last 5 games or so. Sam Alexis back. Another good night for him. 6 of 7, 13 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. Boy, you love that. Bailey, 14 minutes, doesn't do jack squat. He has a point. And then Trent only got to play 3 minutes. But I still would have looked at that and said, okay, they had guys that did enough. They had some guys that stepped up. But Nick Martinelli, you can't let a guy score 28 points against you. 12 of 20. How the hell? 21 shots he got up. But that's part of Indiana's nemesis, is not being able to stop guys like that. But you just can't lose. Indiana has lost 6 straight to Northwestern, 5 straight to Nebraska.
Man.
Indiana basketball hasn't beaten Wisconsin in Wisconsin since the birth of Jesus Christ, it seems like. These are just unbelievable negative marks against a program that I know that has not been what it should be, but boy, it looks as if all pride is gone. When you have those kind of streaks, it's not just one, it's not even 2, it's just so many. It's like, dude, seriously? If y'all just quit, if you just give it up, because that's the appearance that you get.
The craziest stat to me coming out of the game last night. So from 1971, when Assembly Hall opened, to 2023, IU was 39-3 against Northwestern at home at Assembly Hall. 39-3. They are 0-3 over the last 4 years. They've lost as many games in the last 4 years against Northwestern at home as they did in the previous 52.
That's a stat to put in in an article there, baby. That one sticks out.
Absolutely.
But that encapsulates exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Indiana is at, to me, an all-time low. Not, I know it doesn't compare to back in 2011, whatever that date was.
Like 08 to 10.
08, 08.
Yeah.
I'm not comparing it to when the NCAA unjustly just gutted the program. But as far as all other times when things are, and as a matter of fact, there's never been a time, and I've said this many times, NIL and the transfer portal were made to bring Indiana basketball back to glory. They were made for it. It's like it's a golden ticket. It's going through the TSA line at the airport. It's direct. You walk right in, baby. You don't have to stand in the line. But they still have not been able to do it. You can't. I'm like, how can you not get the guys when you can get the guys now? I mean, you were getting them before, but now it should be a little easier to recapture some of that. But it hasn't happened. I mean, we saw them put together this big, expensive team a year ago that was a poorly constructed team. But I'm which one was more poorly constructed?
Yeah.
Last year's or this year's? And if I had to vote, I'm going with this year's.
Yeah. And again, we talked about it earlier. You're losing. I before the Northwestern games, these numbers are probably a little bit different now. But before the Northwestern game, 82% of your scoring from this team is out the door at the end of the season. 82%, and that's not transfer portal. That's just they're out of eligibility. So you are going to have to construct another team on the fly over the next couple of months here, right? Like Nick Dorn might be back. He could be. Josiah Miles could be back. Trent Sisley could be back. The European guys could be back. Not that they've done anything this year, but you have the freshmen coming in. Okay, none of those are proven players who can start for you and be consistent contributors. So you're gonna have to put together an entirely new starting lineup, basically, unless you think that Nick Dorn's going to start for you next year, which okay, maybe. But like Ryan Carr is the most important guy in that building right now, frankly. Like
I don't doubt that at all, because I am not sure that. Well, yeah, I agree. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, and because the way the transfer portal works is, the portal opens after the season, but you need to be making phone calls now in order to get guys lined up. That's how the portal works. If you're talking to these guys, agents behind the scene, you're saying, hey, we're going to need X, Y, Z. Who do you got? That kind of thing. That's how the portal works. And so Ryan Carr needs to hit the ground running and be ready to get guys in the door immediately as soon as the season's over. Because otherwise you're right back here next year with a team that was thrown together on the fly again. And that's the thing, is that this was a team built to win immediately. The idea was, let's get the fans excited with some year one success after a bunch of really tough years in a row. Let's get the fans excited. Let's get them into it, and then we can build from there. And the problem is that didn't work. And so, it's just year one. But year one was intended to be a successful season. This was not like, oh, we're going to build from the bottom, and in year three, we're going to be ready to roll. No. The idea was to have success right away to get the fan base back on side, and it hasn't happened. The fans were excited at the start of the year, no doubt, but they haven't won at the level they needed to do in order to get that excitement going again. And now you're going to have to build again, starting in year two, with increased expectations, with increased scrutiny, where the honeymoon is obviously over at this point. And so you better nail this offseason. If you don't nail this offseason, I don't really know where you go from here. It might be you're just treading water next year and you're back on the bubble again. It's like, okay, what are we actually doing here? Right. And again, I like you talked about earlier. I like the high school class this year. I think each of those three guys is really good. But how much does a pretty good high school class get you in this day and age? Because those guys are going to take 2 years to be rotation guys or more. And are they even going to be in the program by then? So it's a really difficult balancing act if you don't win right away, and they haven't won right away. And so now things that, like, the degree of difficulty gets so much higher because the scrutiny is just going to be at a fever pitch going into next season.
Yeah, I'm trying to find. There was an article that I read yesterday, I believe, in The Athletic, that talked directly about what we're talking about, and but more importantly, it talked about the portal that opens April.
Yeah, it's like, I think after the Sweet 16, maybe.
Which again, why does why does the freaking basketball portal need to be open during the season? Wait till flipping the tournament is over. School is still actually going on then. So why that opens up during the tournament is idiotic. It's idiotic for football, but at least there's another semester following that has already started probably. That's not the case here. Why? Why on God's green earth would you open up the freaking portal during the damn tournament? Anyway, that's not relevant. Tampering. Dabo Sweeney gave us a big dose of it when he called out, rightfully, Pete Golding at Ole Miss for tampering with a player and talked about how it goes on. Well, damn. It's already wild enough. How about they put some rules there? I mean, it's already in place, so enforce it. I'm surprised more people haven't called out people. Kurt Signetti, he talked about guys tampering with his players. I'm like, call them out, damn it. You have a platform. If people aren't being called out, they're not going to stop. Because if they're not getting called out, nothing's going to happen. And if nothing happens, nothing's going to change. So, yeah, get a hold of the tampering. Shoot.
Yeah, I think that part of it is that, first of all, with Golding especially, like the problem was that he was so explicit with it. Like he was texting the player while he was in class at Clemson, not in the portal. Like that is just so explicitly against the rules. The way most people get around the tampering is that you go through the agent, right? You contact agents.
It's just like that's just like hiring coaches.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's kind of how you set this kind of thing up. I mean, Kurt Signetti, like they had these guys on campus on, was it the day after the Rose Bowl, 2 days after the Rose Bowl? And I might have gotten that wrong. Excuse me. The portal does open later. But they got those guys on campus, IU football did, right after the Rose Bowl, right after the portal opened. And they almost certainly had those things lined up. That's how every team does it, right? And so it's one of those things where, yeah, you have to be building relationships, because if you are just starting to do recruiting when the portal opens, you're too late, right? You need to be in contact with agents talking about who do I need, what players do I, what positions do I need, what are my needs for the roster next year, what are my financial constraints, what do I have available? You need to be doing all those things. That's what Ryan Carr is I'm certain working on already right now is, hey, what do we have available? What do we need? How can we use that money efficiently? And so that has to be the focus of the next couple of months here, and or obviously the next 2 months as we get into the portal being open. So it is going to be a 10-year defining couple of months here for Darren DeVries and now Ryan Carr in the transfer portal.
Yeah, because I like Darren. I think his teams do play hard, but I want to see that that's not masking other deficiencies. Because hell, anybody can really make a team play hard if you just focus on that. I'd rather see him focus more on rebounding than playing hard, to be honest with you, because playing hard hasn't won a lot. Rebounding has lost everything. What's up next for you?
Yep, I will be in West Lafayette tomorrow. Purdue plays Michigan State. Should be a fantastic game. And then obviously back in Bloomington for IU Michigan State on Sunday. So I'll see the Spartans a couple of times here over the next couple of days. Looking forward to that.
Well, and that has now become an absolute must win for Indiana. If they lose that game, I've written them out of the tournament, which they're already on the bubble line now. But appreciate you, my friend.
Absolutely, Jim. Thanks for having me on, as always.
Pleasure, brother. Always fun. More coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Back with it right after these messages.
Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on The Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemoreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage, and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Bored, Bloomington? Dave and Buster's can fix that. Eat and drink your way through our all-new menu. Play half-price games every Sunday through Thursday. Watch all your team's wins on a 40-foot screen and 30 HD TVs. And level all up with the high-flying human crane that puts you in the game. Private game suites, our exclusive arena, and more. Only at Dave & Buster's on 731 South College Mall Road.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Wednesday. Glad to have you along as always. And we'll find something else to talk about besides basketball. It is what it is. And we'll have to play it out, baby. You got to play it out. Targeting. The targeting penalty is something that is being talked about as the rules committee, football playing rules committee is meeting. One of the major issues, there are 2 major issues, and one of them is kind of funny when you compare it to targeting. The other, besides targeting, is the length of the pants. If you notice, a lot of guys in football now are starting to wear their pants not only above their knees, but they don't even have knee pads in anymore. They're like long biker pants. Well, that's become an issue. Too much difference, and I agree. It's in the NFL, you do not see skin. You probably never noticed this. You don't see skin. Those socks that they wear all come up above their knees. It's uniform. That's what the word means, uniform. Same likeness. See a little bit more of that in college. And I agree. But that's one of the things that's not going to make or break the game. But the targeting rule, one of the proposals is if you are flagged for targeting in the second half of a game, that the carryover suspension will not take effect. That's a step in the right direction. And that's for first offenders. If you do it, if it happens more than once. I don't like the suspension, period, on a first call unless it is deemed to be, I don't want to say with intent, because you can never prove that, but sometimes they're just no doubters. You're like, dude, what were you doing? For example, the national championship game where the dude stuck his helmet in Fernando Mendoza's chin. That is worthy of a Class A targeting. There should be Class A, Class B. There you go. I just came up with it, thought of it. That's a Class A targeting. Class B is one where a defender's coming in and the offensive player's angle or whatever continues to change after the defender has either left the ground or, made his attempt to tackle, if the offensive player continues to change his movement, his trajectory, now you're putting the defensive player in a bad position because he can't control what the offensive player is doing. That's Class B targeting. And I don't like the suspension. It just changes games. You go back to that Indiana-Cincinnati game. I will not forget that one. I mean, I definitely think that cost Indiana from beating Cincinnati in the year that they made it to the CFP. I just don't like now, but everyone says that the rules having the intended effect, that the calls have gone down, and all of that. So that's great. Like I said, I don't have a problem with it. Hits to the head, no, they have to be regulated, but they're not all the same. And they needed to be treated as such. K-Bro's going to join us today, people. What a treat that'll be, as always. So looking forward to that. Let's see. What else did I want to mention? The Olympics are over. Yeah, Ryan Carr, what I wonder how quickly you will see the effects of Ryan Carr being brought on for this basketball program. Oh, and I'm sure everybody saw, and maybe not, because you need a scorecard to keep up with all of the suits and lawsuits that are going on with the NCAA. Well, there's one that hit close to home, and that is the NCAA, Lewis Moore versus the NCAA, where he was deemed he finally got a temporary injunction to play last season for Indiana. Well, there is something called rules of restitution. And Lewis Moore was granted the temporary injunction to be able to play. And so he did. And that was back in August. That was challenging their 5-year eligibility rule, because he played 3 years at Navarro Junior College in Texas, and that I still do not understand why there are issues coming up with junior college. I thought that this was already put to bed. It's been challenged and defeated, but yet it seems like the cases it's like, why are we doing the same things over and over? But it was a big victory for Lewis Moore, who was third in Indiana in tackles. But now the NCAA, and the suit was supposed to go forward right after the season ended. Obviously, he's completed his eligibility. He doesn't even need the suit. So I think they canceled the suit, even though the NCAA did not want it canceled. The NCAA has now threatened to invoke the rules of restitution against Indiana and former safety Lewis Moore in his ongoing eligibility lawsuit. According to a response filed in Texas' Fifth Court of Appeals, the NCAA believes its Division I Board of Directors is entitled to seek restitution if they so choose. Listed possible actions including vacating Moore's individual performances and repealing team victories, including the national championship. Well, A, the NCAA doesn't control the college football playoff. That's governed by the college football playoff, not the NCAA. So that championship is in no danger, people. It's not going anywhere. Believe you me on that. And there's no way they would have ever done anything after the season that Indiana had, the positivity that was brought by that, not just to Indiana fans, not just to Big Ten fans, but everybody. Everybody loved that. Everybody loves seeing it. Everybody loves seeing somebody not named Ohio State, Clemson, Alabama, Georgia win a national championship and beat the big boys on the way to doing it. But let's see. After suing for his eligibility, Moore played the entire 2025 season, of course, on a series of court rulings that culminated in the temporary injunction that was issued last September. And he was cleared to play, blah, blah. But the NCAA has a deal that's fine. Even if you win that, if you lose, if later you lose, they can go back and retroactively get their pound of flesh. While it remains unclear if Indiana or if the NCAA intends to penalize Indiana and other schools involved in similar cases, you can't. Because if you did, they would just tear the NCAA down. Literally, brick by brick. Brick by brick. Former University of Memphis wide receiver Cortez Branham Jr. and former San Diego State University defensive lineman Tatuo Martinson also sued for their eligibility and played the 2025 season under an injunction. However, Branham and Martinson did not file a notice of non-suit in the district court, which is what Lewis Moore and his camp did after the championship game. Filed the notice of non-suit. That means they're like, we're not going to worry about it. Well, that allows the NCAA to say, well, hey, no, we want to finalize this because if we can get you found to be ineligible, then you broke the rules. Indiana broke the rules, yada, yada. I don't think that they'll go through with that, but they're looking for a win. Not only just a win, but a win of that sort. But it doesn't matter because it's not going to solve until there is definitive, just hard and fast. This is it. You got 5 years to play. I don't care if you lose a leg and are given a new leg. You've got 5 years to play. I don't care if medical science, you lose your head and medical science can allow you to have a new head put on the next season. You got 5 years to play. Period. I don't care if you get hurt 3 years in a row. I don't care if your uncle's father's brother dies. You've got 3 years to play. So there's that. It reminds me that if I mentioned this, old man probably, but I still watch. I got into the habit of watching an American Idol a long time ago, and I still record it and watch it, but it has really lost its zip for me because everybody on there has a story. And everybody, well, I'm doing this for my mom. I'm doing this for my son. I think I've already talked about this maybe yesterday, but it wears me out. And they've got all these personal stories ready late. I'm like, just get to the singing and shut up. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to shut up. We're going to take a break. K-Bro's going to join us. Looking forward to it. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Jim Coyle with you on this Wednesday.
Indiana football accomplished what no other team ever has. Big Ten, Rose Bowl, Peach Bowl, and CFP national champions. The Hoosiers have etched their name into the history books as the first 16-0 team in the modern era. A limited edition of only 5,000 commemorative national championship footballs has been released. 3 full panels embossed and stamped with every championship logo and fully licensed. Get your piece of history today at NICOsports.com. That's NICOsports.com. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on The Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemoreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage, and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Bored, Bloomington? Dave and Buster's can fix that. Eat and drink your way through our all-new menu. Play half-price games every Sunday through Thursday. Watch all your team's wins on a 40-foot screen and 30 HD TVs. And level it up with the high-flying human crane that puts you in the game. Private game suites, our exclusive arena, and more. Only at Dave & Buster's on 731 South College Mall Road.
Yes, sir. We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Wednesday. Glad to have you along. Appreciate you being with us. And guess what? As I promised, in the house, K-Bro! Absolutely. Yep. You can sit down, people. You can sit down now. Sit down. Sit down. All right. K-Bro, how's it going, my friend?
It's a very nice introduction, Jim.
As deserved. Oh, that's right. And what the award you just received?
Yeah, APSC top 10 for Final Four coverage for class circulation classification. Very nice surprise. Certainly, and it was a team effort with Noah Ram, which made it a little more special because, it's always nice to mentor the younger ones along. But we worked together really well in San Antonio. And obviously, Florida bringing home the national championship brought a lot of good storylines. And doing it against Kelvin Sampson, the ex-IU coach. Who, by the way,
you'll have to do it again this year in Indianapolis, and I'll photobomb you.
By the way, I've covered 2 Final Fours involving Kelvin Sampson, and every year he loves talking about like the Lumbee tribe and stuff. If I have to hear another Lumbee tribe story with Kelvin Sampson, it's like enough already. Give me a break. But I know he's proud of his heritage and stuff and everything, but it's like, I think Florida, when you look back on that game, though, and the drama involved in that game, it was almost could write itself, really. It was a 65-63 game, comes down to the last possession. Walter Clayton makes a defensive play, and the ball is kind of on the floor there, and there's kind of a scrum to try to pick it up as time expired. It was a really dramatic ending, and so I think that certainly helped. And and kind of painting the pictures there with the words for Florida winning the national championship. And, hey, look, they're in good position to make another run, potentially in Indianapolis. Looks like they're probably going to wrap up the SEC this weekend. It's strange. The metrics say that the SEC is the strongest conference in the country. I don't buy it from the eye test. I think the Big Ten and the Big 12 have certainly better teams at the top. But I do think, Florida's got a shot. They got the good front line, and the backcourt's playing better.
Yeah, Michigan is. I thought that they were, well, they are really good, but the Duke loss, it opened my eyes a little bit. I'm like, ooh, man, Duke was able to handle them, but I still know they're very good. Illinois is a very dangerous team. They're going to be fun to watch. So, but those are the two teams out of the Big Ten that I think are going to be the ones to do the damage. I mean, Illinois could have had a shot at a number one seed, but Michigan dropping, had Michigan been the number one overall seed, I think it would have been easier for Illinois to have a shot at it. But Michigan has now dropped. I don't know. They're probably the third spot on the one line right now.
I don't think you can count out Michigan State either, Tom Izzo, or Purdue with Matt Painter. I know Coach DeVries, I guess they're in a real tough little rut right now, and it seemed like they were making some progress, but maybe they've we would call it the run out of gas a little at the end of the season. But it is his first year, and he's trying to build something. So I would say, try to give him at least a little bit of grace there.
Today was the first day that I've really given them much grief, but they deserve it after last night's loss. You just can't lose to freaking a 3-13 Northwestern when you're fighting for your life, and you can't do it at home. It's not like they had an injury. There was no difference. There's nothing other than they got beat. And it's not like Northwestern has beat Indiana 4 or 6 straight times now, okay, bro? And 4 of those have been in Simon Scott Assembly Hall. They've lost 5 straight to Nebraska. So that's 11 straight games to 2 of the non-basketball schools of the Big Ten. I'm not counting Nebraska this year. They're very, very good. But overall, that's just not acceptable, man. And it's just more, it seems to be more of the same for the Indiana basketball program.
Well, you got football to look forward to. That's all I can say.
That's what I said. I go, hey, baby, the spring game's right around the corner.
And, but, listen, if they could, I would assume that they would accept a bid to the NIT this year because it's a first-year coach, right? And try to, build off it and so forth. And, try to.
I think it's embarrassing. I personally find that embarrassing.
Get ready for the following year and stuff. But it's tough. Well, hey, there's talk of expanding the tournament possibly. So you never know.
Ridiculous. Expanded for what? So we can see teams that don't deserve to get in. I'm. And Charlie Baker keeps saying, "Oh, there's everybody. There's such a growing movement." Who is calling for this? He's like, and I'm not. Again, I don't get political because, but I like to make fun. I can make fun of anybody. I'll make fun of Trump. But it's Charlie Baker's. Oh, it's going to be big. It's going to be the biggest tournament. You're going to really love it. Everybody wants it. Everybody wants. Who wants this? Who?
Yeah, what you're doing, I think, in a lot, in the Big Ten, is talking about the 24 weight with football, college football too, and it's kind of a tricky conundrum because I think what happens is you devalue the regular season, but continue to devalue the regular season. But on the flip side, it's the participation and people opting out and so forth that they're concerned about. With a lot of these. Bowl games that are irrelevant, and they're trying to just make a lot of these relevant. And on the football side, I mean, the genie went out with the bottle with the 12 because, I attended I think it was a Gasparilla Bowl this year because one of our papers, a chain, it was North Carolina State versus Memphis, I think. So I was helping out because we have papers in, Fayetteville, North Carolina. We have papers in Memphis. And I mean, there may have been 500 people in Raymond James Stadium, which seats 70,000 people. I mean, it was just ridiculous, and these games are just now rendered as even more meaningless, these bowl games, as they ever were before, particularly the lower tier bowls. So I think they're trying to combat that. And there were, a million opt-outs in the game on both sides. It just wasn't a real football game.
Yeah, and well, I can't wait for football. Looking forward to it, but that's not because basketball stinks. But seriously, it is just really looking forward to
one of my other qualms about like the tournament extension, like when they went to 68, right? And Jim, you and I know this because we covered that first 4 game in Dayton, right? When Indiana played Wyoming, and then they had to fly all the way across the country and got blown out by St. Mary's. But I always think like it's just, that first, it just doesn't feel like the tournament, right? The games are on True TV. You can't find them anywhere. I mean, if they're going to expand this thing, make it feel like it's part of the tournament. Don't make it feel like it's some, whacking playing round where, you're on a network that's known for impractical jokers, for Christ's sake. Like put it on CBS or, like a mainstream cable channel that everyone or across the country can watch. Because I remember I was really ticked a couple of years ago. Florida was facing a play-in team from Dayton. I think it was, Colorado and Boise State. And like, I was literally in a sports bar downtown Indianapolis and they didn't have it on. They couldn't find it because it was on True TV. And I'm like, scrounging in my hotel room, putting on my laptop and, having to pay for it on Fubo. You know what I mean? But like that shouldn't be for an NCAA tournament game. It should feel like a real game.
Yeah. Indiana is likely to end up in the Crown tournament, to be honest with you. And I think that is the ultimate embarrassment for a team because they have to go to the Crown before they go to the NIT, I believe. Is that right?
What's the Crown tournament? This is something new that I don't even know about.
See, this is the second year and people like you are still asking. That tells you how.
That's the thing in Vegas or something? Or
Yes.
Okay.
It is. And it was put together by the conference, at least 3 of the conferences. The Big Ten is one of them. And there's a requirement for the teams that don't make, but I can't remember if it's the NCAA and the NIT, then the Crown, or if it's the NCAA, then the Crown. Because the conferences don't care about the NIT. That's the NCAA's deal. So they created their own, and there is a requirement that the first 2 teams that do not make, it might be the NCAA tournament, are required to play in the Crown.
Yeah, no, this is news to me, some wild and wacky stuff, but from covering Florida the last couple of years, they have not been on the bubble, certainly. So I'm not up on this new situation, but
I don't know that the SEC is involved in it, to be honest with you.
Yeah. But, I think the hope among Florida fans here is it doesn't slip back to that area where they're battling for a bid. I mean, I think Todd Golden has the program here on pretty solid footing. And again, this kid, Ruben Chinyelu will be fun to watch in the tournament because he's 6'10". He's a space eater. I mean, he's got 15 double-doubles on the season. I mean, he's a guy that is just like a human vacuum cleaner on the boards. He's had a couple of 20 rebound games. And, Florida's leading the nation in rebound percentage. And I've always felt like that was like, teams that can get, second chance points, hold teams to 1 point. I mean, Archie had a few good rebounding teams. Now they couldn't shoot, and that was their big problem. But I think rebounding is a pretty good foundation to start with in terms of, establishing a tough mindset on your team and stealing possessions.
Oh, without question. And that's one of the things that has led to Indiana's demise, losing possessions. And it has come on one area, rebounding. They have just gotten destroyed, K-Bro, in rebounding, but specifically offensive rebounding, where game in and game out, they get substantially out rebounded, but they give up runs to teams 12-0, 13-1, it is always a double-digit disparity in points. And in a game like last night where you lose by 4, and that disparity is 11 or 12 or 13, whatever the hell it was, you don't have to go look anywhere else. And something so simple is just, it's been an issue for them all year long. So I don't understand not putting some emphasis on it. And here you are at the end of the season with your life on the line, and that's what cost you a game against one of the worst teams in the conference. That leaves a lot of questions for me.
Well, you can teach boxing out and stuff, but I think you also have to, my experience covering college basketball, it has to be a roster construction issue too, in terms of building a team for size and for strength that can do it. I go back to, Florida's first two national championship teams, Noah Horford Brewer, that's what 6'11", 6'10", 6'9" across the front line. That's, size matters, certainly in that regard. And Florida's current front line is like that too, where they have 6'9".
I missed that one, daggone it. Let's see where I lost that. What did you? Oh man, I'm not. Say it again. What did you just say? Size what?
Size matters, baby.
Da-da-da. There we go.
Yeah, I'm just a real sit-down comedian today, right? Aren't I?
Hey,
life does not stop and start at your convenience, you miserable piece of shit.
Hey, by the way, I've got the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame 2026 nominees in front of me. Do you want to hear them?
Absolutely. Am I on the list?
The Black Crowes,
Love them.
Buckley, Mariah Carey, Phil Collins, and Genesis is in, but Phil isn't in as a solo artist. Melissa Etheridge, doesn't she play at Brown County sometimes?
Probably. She's one of them older people.
I got my glasses on here because I'm getting old here, and I it's a small email. Lauryn Hill, Billy Idol. It's a nice day for a white wedding, right?
Yeah, but Mariah Carey, she's not a rock singer.
Yeah, they give a lot of latitude.
Yeah. All right,
rock and roll is different things to different people. You know what I mean? In Excess, great 80s band, right?
Yeah.
Iron Maiden.
What does it take to get into the freaking Hall of Fame?
I think it's a committee that just, or there's a fan vote too. So I think it's a combination. Joy Division, New Order, New Edition, Oasis, great 90s band, right? Pink.
Oh,
Sade.
That damn. Who are they not letting in this year?
Shakira. Luther Vandross.
Wait a minute. These are all going in this year, or are these nominees?
These are nominees. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Nominees. And Wu-Tang Clan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's certainly an eclectic list.
Nominees. Yeah. It'd be nice to see Phil get in. I mean, I'm a big Genesis guy, so.
Well, I'm trying to pull this up because I know the answer to this, but I want to. One of the greatest. I'm not going to say greatest. Well, it's one of those great songs ever that sticks. That is played in so many different situations in the air tonight. I mean, when you have one of those. That's, I don't even know what you call that, but that's
an anthem. Yeah.
Boy, is it. I mean, yeah, there you go. I mean,
and the drum line, and I think Tyson, in The Hangover, right, kind of brought it back with that scene, and it's like, he does the drum thing.
One of the greatest scenes ever. Hold on, this is my favorite part.
And if you go to any high school football game, and I used to cover high school football games pretty regularly until 5 or 10 years, you'll always hear that song, right? Pregame, like to hype your team up and stuff. It's just one of those songs that, what do we call it? It's just, like I said, an anthem. It's something that, juices up the crowd and juices up a team, and very good. Yeah.
I have a great question, trivia question for you.
Okay.
And I can't remember. I'm trying to quickly pull up the the third one because I'm drawing a blank right now. But there are 3 artists that, damn it, how could I forget that? 3 artists. Don't you be Googling either.
Okay.
I mean, I need to see your hands, you cheater. Don't be cheating. Right. 3 artists have sold over 100 million albums individually and in a group.
Okay.
Who are those 3 artists?
100 million individually
and for a bonus points, who was in that group? Dinner on the line at the Final Four, right here.
I'll say Paul McCartney, maybe,
and
Michael Jackson,
and
Phil Collins.
You cheating, SOB. I know you're pulling it up.
No,
look at you. Oh, baloney.
No.
But that is correct. Phil Collins and damn it.
Paul McCartney and Michael Jackson.
Yeah, but I was trying to think of his band. I can't think of
Paul McCartney's band is Wings.
Well, no, it was his is a duo. His is unique because he sold it through the Beatles and Wings.
Yes.
So that makes his unique. Phil Collins was just with
Genesis.
Yeah, Genesis. But
and
here's
Michael
what's crazy.
Jackson, Jackson 5, right? Yeah.
Yes. But here's another thing. Phil Collins, probably the most one you wouldn't expect to be, but he is one of the 3 that have sold 100 million records worldwide, both as a solo and member of Genesis. But he first achieved fame after he joined the progressive rock group in 1970, 5 years later, after Peter Gabriel quit.
That's right. Yep.
The lead vocalist.
Peter Gabriel was the lead vocalist of Genesis. He kind of had a nervous breakdown. His wife had a rough pregnancy. And there was a lot of internal squabble between Peter Gabriel. He, back in the 70s with Genesis, he used to dress in these really weird costumes and stuff, prog rock. He was like, and they were like kind of like the themes to a song. And Genesis back then, they wrote like 30, 40-minute songs. I mean, they wrote songs that took up entire album sides. But Peter Gabriel was an artiste, shall we say, and it rubbed some in their band a wrong way. And then, and then Phil was the drummer, and they were trying to audition different singers, and Phil said, no, let's sing it that way. And the way Phil sang it, they were like, no, you're the guy now. So that's how he became the lead singer of Genesis. And then Genesis became kind of more mainstream and pop under Phil. But Tony Banks was really kind of the genius behind everything. And then, Mike Rutherford, started Mike and the Mechanics, right? Which was another band. So that spun off in the 80s. So
it's just, I just love crazy backstories. But then all I could think of was Peter Gabriel or those.
And then Peter Gabriel went solo, and he's had a very, very successful solo career as well. And he's
same as it ever was. Same as it ever was.
Well, that's Talking Heads. Yeah, that's David Byrne. Yeah.
I love.
What I did in karaoke recently? I did Whip It, Devo.
Hey, speaking of which, I sent out a tweet congratulating Cabro on his recent award that we talked about. Who gave that award again?
It's the Associated Press Sports Editors, APSE. Yeah.
Got
so
that.
We're competing against.
But I sent out that tweet congratulating you, but I called you the Southeast. What did I call you?
Sports Scribe. Yeah, very nice.
Yeah, Southeast Singing Sports Scribe. That is Cabro. He is a
the Bloomington Times Herald won as well for their football coverage. They got a top 10 also for their Michael Nazoliak.
Mike
right?
Niziolek.
Niziolek won also. Yeah,
great. Mike Niziolek is a great writer.
Yeah.
And
I think John Blau won something too in his category. So
good for him.
Former IU. So a lot of people, it's nice. I mean, there's a lot of different categories, but it's still top 10 across the country. So it's still a nice, nice little feather on your cap. Something to put on the resume,
Yeah.
Or as I say, that and 10 cents will get me on the Contour train down to Key West,
There you go. Hey, we've got more coming up. K-Bro is with us in the house, and we just had a blast talking about something that had nothing to do with sports. We talked about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Talking Heads. It's been a while since
who doesn't love rock and roll? Come on.
Man, you need a little rock and roll. Rock and roll is here to stay. Right after I take a break away.
Indiana football accomplished what no other team ever has. Big Ten, Rose Bowl, Peach Bowl, and CFP national champions. The Hoosiers have etched their name into the history books as the first 16-0 team in the modern era. A limited edition of only 5,000 commemorative national championship footballs has been released. 3 full panels embossed and stamped with every championship logo and fully licensed. Get your piece of history today at NICOsports.com. That's NICOsports.com.
Dave & Buster's Bloomington is the place to eat, drink, play, and watch. Enjoy half-price games Sunday through Thursday, plus a new menu and next-level upgrades like private game suites and the high-flying human crane. Only at Dave & Buster's Bloomington on South College Mall Road.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
You're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area? You need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemoreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on The Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Bored, Bloomington? Dave & Buster's can fix that. Eat and drink your way through our new menu. Play half-price games every Sunday through Thursday. Watch your teams on the big screen and level it all up with the high-flying human crane. Private game suites and more, only at 731 South College Mall Road.
Yeah. Hello in the house, making it cool today. How's the weather down there in Gainesville?
You'd be surprised. Like, I can't really, I know the people up in Indiana probably would feel like I'm complaining, but it's it's Florida winter here, which is like 35, 38 in the mornings, but then it gets up to the 50s and 60s during the day. So
that's what it's going to be here today, dude. So you're having our weather.
Well, I mean, it's been that way the last 2 days. Now today it's going to warm up actually because it's warming up for you guys. So today it's going to get in the 80s. So it's going to be nice. It's going to be nice all weekend. Actually, I'm going to go down to West Palm and visit my aunt and my godkids, and we're going to go to I'm going to go see the Mets spring training against the Washington Trashionals. It should be fun.
Washington Trashionals,
as I call them. I like to call them. I hated Trashionals. When they were good, they were kind of the rivals, but now they are truly the Trashionals. But I coined that phrase when they had Bryce Harper and Max Scherzer, and they were won the World Series in 2019, obviously.
You should have said that. You should have registered that.
The Trashionals?
Yeah.
Copyright.
Well, I mean, Pat Riley. I remember he trademarked
three-peat.
Three-peat. Yeah.
I don't think the Trashionals would have the same, But one thing I should have coined, like I came up with this one idea too, and I could have made a ton of money on this because it involved an oil company. But I always thought, because you remember we used to grow up with Alcoa Presents fantastic finishes and stuff. So I had this idea of the Texaco turning point of the game, brought to you by Texaco.
Well, there's many more you can think of, and hell, they'll work right here. Let's start doing that. I love
the
it.
ISB inspirational moment of the game or something.
Yeah. Block of the game, the bank.
But it has to have like an alliteration, like an I to it. The ISB what? Like
yeah, well, we'd have to come up with something because that
life does not stop and start at your convenience, you miserable piece of shit. This is not Nam. This is bowling. There are rules.
Okay.
I've been playing with my
This is your partner. Is the whole world gone
Big Lebowski.
Oh yeah.
No
driving during.
Am I the only one around here who gives a about
no driving during Shabbat, right?
That one's not on here.
The whole world gone crazy.
Yeah.
What day is this?
What day is this? Exactly. Yeah, if you're not a fan of the Big Lebowski, you're not going to get any of those. But that's just personal stuff for me. But man, we're heading into the back end of the basketball season. Of course, I'm looking for Indiana football, brother. They have just kept the ball rolling. It was a big old ball rolling downhill for them last season. It kept gaining speed and didn't stop. Well, that thing is hit the ground and it still hasn't stopped, K-Bro. Their recruiting has been top notch. They have hit the portal with great success in needs at wide receiver, at running back, at tight end. They got a Miami tight end, as a matter of fact, kid who's an Indiana kid though. But they've added, and then Josh Hoover, of course, the guy with the most yards, the most touchdowns returning in all of college football, who was originally a commitment to Indiana when you were here.
I remember that. Yeah, I mean that's it's pretty amazing when you think of that full circle as well. But spring practice is going to be starting soon. Are they going to do a spring game or no?
Well, yeah, baby, coming up in April.
Yeah. Remember a couple of years ago they weren't doing spring games, so that's
when they had the national championship game, the main seating area on both sides of Assembly Hall was filled.
Yeah,
that's pretty impressive to me. I've got to say, I was impressed with that. That many people coming out to a gym to watch a football game. Pretty good experience, I'm sure, because you're with all those other people. But I'm trying to think what I think that's like 14,000 people. So not only did they overtake every stinking stadium they went to, from the Rose Bowl to the Peach Bowl to the championship game in Miami, in Miami's home stadium. How about that? How about outdrawing Miami in their own damn home stadium?
Well, I think the ticket brokers had a lot to do with that too. And
Indiana's fans bought them.
But Indiana's fans, listen, I'll give them credit, man. They got caught up in the wave, and they've always had a good alumni base down there. I mean, when we covered the Gator Bowl too, there were a lot of people that showed up for that Tennessee game. So I thought it was
at the Rose Bowl. Okay, bro, I'm not kidding here. It was 80%. 80% Indiana fans. That's unheard of for any team to do that in a Rose Bowl against Alabama, no less.
No, and I mean, listen, I think it was interesting when I covered the Alabama-Georgia game that was in Indy, if you remember. They certainly that was like a 60 That was like a 70-30 split for Georgia. I think what happened with Alabama is their fan base got a little complacent and a little fatigued from winning those national championships between 2010 and 2020. And unfortunately, they're still a little down on Kalen because he's not Nick Saban, right? But not taking anything away now from Indiana and how they traveled. And this was their moment. And I think they knew they had a special team, and they knew, those Hoosier fans knew that it was certainly worth investing in to go to these games because they knew it was a special moment. And it was a really dramatic, great final game, right? That came down to the final possession. Sharp making the interception. And certainly that special teams block, man, that's, that block punt, that tells you the importance of all three phases, man. You got to execute.
But not only that, K-Bro, the two guys that were involved on that particular play that you're talking about were both defensive starters. Mikael Kamara got the block, and it was recovered by Isaiah Jones in the end zone. Both of those guys were starters on the defense. That's something that Indiana did that a lot of teams don't do, man. They play their guys.
Yeah, no, and there's a value to it. And I mean, going back to the Urban Meyer era here at Florida, that was very much the same way, where they would put starters on special teams. They emphasized it. I mean, John Summerall wants to bring that back too at Florida as well, like the emphasis on special teams, which is critical phase, man, for sure. And
what's Florida going to look like, bro? Because I'd love to see Florida in the CFP.
We'll see. I mean, Summerall right now is, he's an interesting guy in that he wants to bring a little bit of toughness and accountability back to the program. I think there was a little bit of a sense of entitlement during the Napier era, and guys that were, this from playing the game, right? As a former high school player, there's a difference between being hurt and being injured. And there was a feeling that there were a lot of guys on Florida under Napier that were hurt and that weren't necessarily injured and that were dictating when they would practice or when they would even play. Summerall is completely wiping that out. Like, hey, look, you got to be. This is football. This is a tough game. You're going to have to.
The unfortunate part, I get exactly what you're saying, but the unfortunate part, K-Bro, is, boy, now coaches have to be very leery of that line of people coming back and saying, oh, well, these guys were hurt and they were forced to play or they were pressured to play and all that. And it's crap because of exactly what you're saying. There is a difference. You have to play hurt. You don't have to play injured, but you have to play the game hurt. Half the time, if you're not hurting, you're not playing the game hard enough.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between being sore or being concerned about something, and
30
look,
seconds.
And a lot of these players, now that the money's involved, they look at themselves as investments and as, brands and properties. I get that. But to build a team culture, you've got to have a certain level of accountability when it comes to that. And I think
you got that right, baby.
And I think that's what John Summerall is trying to weed out here. And build a team that's tough-minded. I mean, their strength coach, Rusty Witt, was a former Army Ranger who was in, who was in Desert Freedom, Operation Iraqi Desert Freedom from 2006 to 2010, enlisted in the Army. And he's bringing the strength test called the Gauntlet that he brought from Army West Point. That's really kind of testing their limits physically and mentally. So they're hoping all that is going to result in a tougher team. Now, look, you got to have the play into skill positions too. You got to have, but Florida's, not lacking for speed and talent there. But I think it's more developing a tough mindset because there were some games where, Kentucky comes to mind last year, Tennessee, where they like really mailed it in from a blocking and tackling perspective and didn't do those fundamental things that you need to do to win football games.
K-Bro. Man, I love it. We're always fortunate. We try to get him on once a week. Thereafter as possible. Appreciate you, brother. Make sure you're giving him a follow. If you're not, missing out.
It's always great to be gone, and I miss my Indiana peeps and revel in this championship because, I mean, what Kurt Cignetti did was incredibly special. Probably something that nobody ever thought would be done in this lifetime too. So
there's no probably there. Oh, there's no probably there.
Enjoy it, and ride the wave for as long as possible, because it looks like he's really got that program on incredibly solid footing.
Yeah, I've got one of these. These are one of the actual game balls from Big Game Sports that you can get. Just go to Big Game USA. Woo, baby. I love the smell of leather in the morning. Okay, bro. Appreciate you, brother.
All right, thank you.
See you again soon, hopefully. Hey, that's going to wrap it up for us today as well. Appreciate each and every one of you. Stick around for Glass. We're back tomorrow to do it again. Until then, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.